It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222, your emails at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. Today was the day that former Vice President Kamala Harris announced that she is not running for the governor of state of California.
We are clear and have been clear.
She said she was going to take the summer to make her decision, and that decision was she's not doing it. She's out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's find out what happened here. Here is NBC4 with Conan Nolan.
More breaking news. Former Vice President Kamala Harris says she will not run for governor of California. Today's announcement ends months of speculation following Harris's defeat in the 2024 presidential race.
And the more she waited on this, the worse it was going to get, because more people had time to think about, do we really want to bet all of our money on a proven loser?
While the former vice president says her public service will not be in elected office for now, she didn't rule out a future run for the White House. Oh, yeah. Apparently she wants to run for president, and it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to run for governor because the second you get inaugurated, you're running for president. NBC4's Conan Nolan joins us live from the newsroom to break down Harris's announcement and, of course, that reaction. Conan.
That's right. Kamala Harris said she would make a decision by the fall, but there was pressure for her to make one a lot earlier than that. And today she announced it this morning. The announcement came in a social media post. Former Vice President Kamala Harris.
This is so funny. If you announce that you're running, you've got a packaged video, you've got all this stuff ready to go. When you announce you're not running, a paragraph sent out to the media will do.
The announcement came in a social media post. Former Vice President Kamala Harris deciding that after considerable reflection, she will not run for governor of California in 2026. For now, my leadership and public service will not be in elected office, she states. I look forward to getting back out and listening to the American people, helping elect Democrats across the nation. Harris won California in last year's presidential race by over 3 million votes, and as such was believed to be the overwhelming favorite if she were to run for governor.
By the way, she won in a smaller margin than Biden did in 2020.
But there were plenty of pollsters who said a race could be problematic. Democratic pollster Cornell Belcher.
I don't think it's much of a surprise.
Some believe Harris would not have had an easy race. There would be questions as to key failures of her presidential campaign, such as the Democratic Party's declining support from minority voters, and her possible role in hiding President Joe Biden's declining mental acuity from the public.
Oh, yeah, there's also that. Her being in the public eye right now and running a campaign up and down the state of California is going to have to answer questions for all of the nonsense that went on with Joe Biden in the last 2 years. So might be better if she sits this one out.
Among those who are not surprised by her decision, Harris's one-time mentor and boyfriend, Willie Brown. The former San Francisco mayor and assembly speaker, now 91, recently on the State of Gold podcast, where he said Harris could easily lose the race, particularly against someone new to politics, such as former LA mayoral candidate Rick Caruso.
Oh, it goes bigger than that. And let me just point out, this interview with Willie Brown, and Willie Brown's been saying this for quite a while. He even said it on John's show, on the John Phillips show just a few months ago. But Willie Brown on this podcast, this went everywhere less than a week ago. And now what happens? She's out.
Public is looking for somebody that represents not yesterday, for somebody who is fresh and relatively new. He is exactly that.
That's Rick Caruso, who Willie Brown all but endorsed in that interview when asked, well, if not Kamala, but who?
Caruso is believed to be considering either a race for governor or a rematch for mayor against Karen Bass. Harris received praise from fellow Democrats in the field of candidates for governor, some of whom, such as Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis, had said she would leave the race if Harris had decided to run.
Well, that's not happening now. Eleni, your lane is clear. You're the lane to spend all the money.
For California! Californians.
Unless Rick Caruso also gets in, then both of you will be we're going to spend a lot of money to do this campaign. Elaine's got a lot of money, which she'll need because even though she's been lieutenant governor for the past, 6.5 years, nobody knows who she is.
Another announced candidate, former LA Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, also praised Harris in a social media post, but had predicted this was not her race.
I don't think she's getting in this race. I think she's going to make another run for the presidency.
And Antonio Villaraigosa, the former mayor of Los Angeles, and when I say former, the last time he was mayor, it was 2013. I don't even think I had just barely started at this radio station.
No, peanut.
Nobody remembers who he is. And whatever his record was as Speaker of the Assembly in the late 90s, nobody remembers. Nobody cares. Good luck. Who else you got? Besides Tony V, there's a few other Tonys in there. Tony Atkins. I guarantee even this audience, you're plugged in, you don't know who that is. She was the California State Senate Pro Tem for many years. You still don't know who she is. Tony Thurmond, don't know who that is either, do you? Tony Thurmond is the California superintendent because, if there's one thing to run on in California, it's how great our schools are. So they're a waste. Oh, and then, of course, there's the former Secretary of Health and Education Secretary, Javier Baccaria. Baccaria's running. Isn't that right, Grampy Joe? Where's my Baccaria clip?
For Secretary of Health and Education Service, I nominated Javier Baccaria.
And, of course, Javier Baccaria did one weekend of interviews and then kind of disappeared because he came up with the catchphrase that was dead on arrival.
Scrub it.
What?
But when you do the scrub.
And he's not talking about bathing. So you've got a bunch of Tonys. You've got Baccaria. You've got Elaine. You've got the former state treasurer, Betty Yee, who you also don't know. And then you got Katie Porter. Katie Porter is the front runner now that Kamala is out. If you look at the polls where Kamala was in first, Katie Porter was in second. You also have Republicans running. You've got Steve Hilton, who you've heard on this radio station many times, a policy guy. It was on Fox News. He hosts a podcast where he talks about California. And then you got Riverside Sheriff Chad Bianco. I believe he's still in this thing. I haven't seen him campaigning much. But at this point, is Katie Porter the front runner?
Please.
Oh, boy.
That was from December of last year. Now, keep in mind, being governor of California doesn't preclude you from running for president of the United States, but it would be extremely difficult to run the nation's most populous state while at the same time running a campaign for the White House. I'm Conan Nolan, NBC4 News.
It would also be completely disingenuous. And this was Kamala's big problem. She hasn't been focused on the issues that face this state. And those are many, 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 many issues. And to use this as an election just to springboard you to the presidency is not what this state needs right now. Regardless of political affiliation, regardless of party, California's got a lot of issues, and we need somebody who's invested in doing this job, not focusing on what this job means for their presidential run, because we've just had 6.5 years of that and hasn't gone great.
So, Conan, you did mention some names. Who do you think, as of right now, is the strongest candidate for governor?
Well, it depends on who you think the public's interested in, in considering. To Willie Brown's point in that piece, a lot of folks want somebody new. That would eliminate perhaps the lieutenant governor. That would eliminate Javier Becerra, the former Secretary of Health and Human Services, former member.
You hear that, Javier? You've been eliminated.
Scrub it.
Former Attorney General. That would eliminate a lot of them, and it would open the field. There's a very good chance that the candidate that will be getting the most attention and possibly winning this race has yet to announce. Back to you.
All right, Conan.
That's a subtle way of saying maybe it's Caruso. Now, if you didn't hear this podcast, State of Gold, where Willie Brown was interviewed, I'm going to play you some of it because Although most of what people paid attention to was Willie saying that if Kamala ran, she might not win. And that went everywhere because there's no more politically connected and politically bright figure, even at 91 in California, than former San Francisco mayor and former Speaker of the Assembly, Willie Brown. But I want to play you a little what he said on Kamala, but if I can get to it, what he said about Rick Caruso, I found fascinating.
Because from the attorney generalship, you may land where you, I suspect, are most.
Oh, that's where he said you should really be the attorney general, not vice president. And he said when he told her that, she won't talk to him anymore.
Because it could lead to your next step if that's where you're really headed. And that's where your talent seems to fit. I do think people running for public office really ought to fit eventually where they are trying to land.
And by the way, in a world of term limits, and Willie Brown knows this, personally, it no longer is about you running for an office because you care about that office. You run for an office because you're termed out of all the other ones, and it's just the next job available. I give you California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara.
And I really do hope, frankly, that she comes to that reality. She may not want to run for governor.
Isn't it funny? A week later, she doesn't.
Of the state of California. That may not be where she should be going. I think it's going to be difficult for her to win that job. I think that the quality of some of the other people, and you have the lieutenant governor thinking about it, the president pro tem of the Senate out of San Diego at one time thinking about it.
By the way, Willie's so connected and he doesn't know these people's names. That's Eleni and Tony.
A woman who was controller was thinking about it, Betty Yee. There is just the current superintendent of schools for the state of California is thinking about it. There are just so many really talented people thinking about that job. And then there is one who ran against the woman who's the mayor of Los Angeles.
Rick Caruso.
Oh, Willie didn't even want to name Karen Bass by name. Maybe there's some bad blood.
Rick Caruso.
Rick Caruso. Let me tell you, I think everybody's ignoring him at the moment, politically. And I think the press may be ignoring him. That is really a talented guy.
He is a talented guy.
He's a great executive potential. And I think in this day and age, when the public is looking for somebody that represents not yesterday, for somebody who is fresh and relatively new, for the 39 million people, he is exactly that.
And here's what I want to point out when it comes to the timeline. A week ago, this interview was posted on the State of Gold podcast with Willie Brown, saying that about Kamala, but also that about Rick Caruso. Last night, if you happen to follow Rick Caruso on social media, which I do, you may have noticed that Rick Caruso posted a picture. He went up to San Francisco and met with Willie Brown. And they took a picture together. And not only were they in the picture, but Willie Brown was holding a framed photograph. And that photograph was of the California State Capitol, and Willie was pointing at it. I mean, I think it's fairly obvious as to what that means. But we have heard for a while now that Rick Caruso is deciding by the end of summer or after summer whether he's going to run for mayor of Los Angeles or run for the governor of state of California. And I think a lot of people were waiting to see what the Kamala thing was going to be. And maybe the lane for Rick Caruso was, if Kamala runs for governor, he'll run for mayor. But I got to tell you, just based on the way recent elections have gone statewide compared to the way elections have gone in the city of Los Angeles, and maybe I'm wrong about this, and there is a lot of competition out there, but Rick Caruso is a centrist guy. He is a common sense guy. Forget party affiliation. That doesn't matter anymore in the state of California. But Rick Caruso is a common sense guy and a businessman and somebody that has a lot of good ideas. And even outside of politics is making change happen. You look at what he's done with the fires in Steadfast LA and trying to fix the permitting process with AI. I think Rick Caruso, if he decides to run for anything, at this point, with the candidates that have declared, I think Rick Caruso has a better chance at the governor's mansion than he does in a rematch against Karen Bass. And yes, that is a complete indictment of the voters of Los Angeles. But I live here. Not only do I see the way that people are in the city of Los Angeles, I listen to the public comment at LA City Council meetings where outside of the gadflies that will feature from time to time, like the guy that likes to talk about the hookers on Figueroa, you hear a lot of activist voters, the kind of people that put Ulysses in office and Isabel in office and Hugo in office. And these people are only getting louder and they're only getting stronger, while the rest of the state might not be. You look at LA County. They dumped George Gascon at the same time that they put more defund the police people inside LA City Hall. You look at Prop 36. It was very powerful throughout the state. But in local elections, what happened? We gave Nithya Raman another 4 years. There are so many examples of people that we kept re-electing or electing that are so far away from the center. And even when other parts of the state that might stereotypically be known as the most liberal parts of the state, like, I don't know, San Francisco, they did the complete opposite. They got their own Rick Caruso and Daniel Lurie, a rich businessman, centrist guy with common sense ideas. He got elected mayor up there, beat out a whole bunch of people, including the incumbent mayor, beat out the president of Board of Supervisors, and a few other people. And he's got a 73% approval rating right now because he's doing common sense things and he's sticking to the basics. So I think San Francisco would look at a guy like Rick Caruso and say, yeah, I think that makes sense because he's very similar to Daniel Lurie. We are looking at a similar outlook, but that's just my opinion. I think Los Angeles at this point, we're better off abandoning the city, or all the neighborhoods should try to incorporate into their own cities. Encino, I'm looking at you. Woodland Hills, I'm looking at you. There's no reason that you can't be your own city. I think that's what we have to do, break up the city of Los Angeles, because I don't think the electorate in Los Angeles would put Rick Caruso as mayor. The electorate in California, and don't forget, even though California is a blue state, there are more Republicans in the state of California than many, many, many other states combined. I think he looks favorably to them. I think he looks favorably maybe to most people, but I don't know. I'm not the most educated political analyst. I'm just telling you what I see based on trends that I'm looking at. But I'd love to hear from you. 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. Kamala Harris is not running for governor. Who do you want to see in the governor's mansion? Who are you supporting for governor? Do you want to see Rick Caruso run for governor? Give us a call right now and let's weigh in on the governor's race because this is getting real right now. The race for governor starts today. 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. You want to comment on Kamala getting out? You want to tell me who you're supporting, or if you want to see Rick Caruso get in, give us a call, 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Kamala's out. Your reaction, 800-222-KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Kamala Harris announced she is not running for California governor. This comes just a week after Willie Brown said on a podcast that she probably wouldn't win if she ran for governor. He also almost pretty much endorsed Rick Caruso.
And then there is one who ran against the woman who's the mayor of Los Angeles.
Rick Caruso.
Rick Caruso. Let me tell you, I think everybody's ignoring him at the moment, politically. And I think the press may be ignoring him. That is really a talented guy.
He is a talented guy.
He's a great executive potential. And I think in this day and age, when the public is looking for somebody that represents not yesterday, for somebody who is fresh and relatively new, for the 39 million people, he is exactly that.
A week after that, Rick Caruso was sitting with Willie Brown in Willie's office, pointing at a picture of the state capitol. One day later, Kamala Harris drops out. So if you want to comment on Kamala dropping out, well, deciding not to run, you want to comment on the potential of Rick Caruso running for governor instead of mayor of Los Angeles, or tell us who you're supporting in this governor's race, because it just got real right now. Give us a call right now, 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. If you're on hold, stay on hold. More of your calls coming up next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. The news that broke this afternoon is that former Vice President Kamala Harris,
I will repeat myself,
is not running for governor of California. This comes just 1 week after Willie Brown on a podcast said that if Kamala Harris won, she might not win. And literally 1 day after Rick Caruso took a picture with Willie Brown in Willie Brown's office together as they pointed at a picture of the state capitol. My question to you at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222 is this: now with Kamala out, who are you supporting for governor? Who do you want to see run for governor? Do you want to see Rick Caruso run for governor? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's start with Richard in L.A. Richard, hello.
How you doing, Randy? Great show. It's an issue with all the celebrities that running, but, I'm going to go out the box for mayor. I think, Magic Johnson should jump in there. And as far as the governor, Zaragoza did pretty good as a mayor in Los Angeles. Most people disagree, but he did build Staples and he got the Armageddon stuff. So he is a builder. And that's one thing that California needs. And so with that much money, with trains and stuff like that, I think he has the idea of how to make our tax dollars pay for itself. And then as far as that mayor race, Kelly, Bass and I think Magic Johnson, but she did go against defunding the police. So Bass might have an advantage there if she puts in a good campaign.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't see there's any way that Karen Bass doesn't win re-election. Nobody prominent is running against her. If Rick Caruso runs, that might be something, but I don't see someone like a Magic challenging her because, well, Magic right now is beloved by everybody and gets to take those wonderful vacations and has started so many businesses. As soon as you get into politics, half the city's going to hate your guts, even if you're Magic Johnson.
Yeah, I do understand. That's like the second term of not Zaragoza, the mayor Garcetti, right? He ran and he went unopposed. So this is California. We're spoiled here, but we do want success. So politicians are politicians. And as far as Caruso running for governor, he's got so much on his table with that Palisades. I don't know if he can really do a good job. I'm just telling you.
Well, that is a valid opinion. Thank you so much for the call, Richard. Appreciate it. Look at that. Someone sticking up for Antonio Villaraigosa. Tony V, someone said you do a good job.
No, peanut.
I think Antonio Villaraigosa's biggest problem is who remembers who he is at this point. He has not been in elected office in over a decade. So the getting attention part of it, the raising money part of it, mind you, a lot of that is easier now that Kamala is out of it. Let's go to Mark in San Diego. Mark, hello.
Hey, Randy. Yeah, it's nice to get the LA perspective. I'm just so happy that she's out of the race because I think she'd be the worst option and might actually win it or split the vote, and we'd get someone worse than Kamala. As far as Rick is concerned, I would need to know more, but it sounds like he's accomplished things and has run things and done a good job and probably should have been the mayor of L.A., which is a tough position to be in, but I'd have to look into it. I hope he runs because I don't think you're going to be able to get any Republican to win California. I would put Mike Schellenberger back in, but, he'd lose probably again. So
yeah, Schellenberger's problem was name ID, but I totally agree with you. And it's, Rick Caruso has enough money to get the name ID, and he's got it in Southern California. And I think you can get that in Northern California where people are a little more common sense minded. I just think that if he runs for anything, he has a better chance for going for governor than Los Angeles. I think the electorate in Los Angeles will straight up give Karen Bass a pass on everything.
Well, and not only that, he will probably be better fit to run the state. And Los Angeles, I blame, I'm in San Diego, so I can comment on our situation, but I feel sorry for you guys up there because you vote these people in, and I don't understand why. But as far as the governor of California, I'd rather see Rick Caruso by far than Kamala, probably even more so than Steve Hilton. Steve Hilton seems like he has great ideas, but I don't know that he get anything done, and I don't think he'll get close to getting enough votes.
I think Steve Hilton's a really, really smart guy, and I've read some of his policy positions, and they're very interesting, but name ID is going to be a massive uphill climb for him as well as raising money, and that's really the problem. That's why pretty much the only people that have run for governor on the Republican side for the last decade have been people that can self-fund. The last Republican governor was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he had the most universal name ID among anybody in the world.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Great show.
Well, thanks so much for the call, Mark. Appreciate it. Listening in America's finest city. Let's go to Sam in Sherman Oaks. Sam, hello.
Hello. I would think that Rick Caruso, he would more likely run for governor than for mayor because the same electoral structure exists in L.A. that it hasn't changed, where you have unrestricted ballot harvesting, universal mail-in voting, and virtually universal electronic registration, where the SEIU and various activist groups will just go around and just pick up ballots and fill them out for Karen Bass and vote for Karen Bass, as what happened last time. But that's less impactful if he's running. If Rick Caruso is running for governor, because he'll get more, Republican or more common sense votes from other parts of the state that hopefully will offset what happens in Los Angeles County and the city of Los Angeles.
Well, and it's really interesting when you look at the return rates of mail-in ballots over the last few elections. Even with all the attention that Los Angeles gets, even in that 2022 mayoral race, the turnout was pathetic. The turnout was dismal. And so that is definitely going to skew the vote towards whoever the unions are supporting. That is more difficult to do statewide, especially when you have so many counties that are a lot more focused. Orange County's return rate is usually 10% higher than Los Angeles's. And I think Rick Caruso looks attractive to a whole lot of different people. I don't know if he's even thinking, if he's deciding on running. I just think that he is a better shot going for governor than the city of L.A. I'm saying it right now. The city of L.A. is dumb enough to elect Karen Bass twice.
You're right.
Well, thanks so much for the call, Sam. Appreciate it. Sherman Oaks, another neighborhood that I think should incorporate into its own city. I started thinking about this the other day after everything that's been going on in Encino, and literally a news report from ABC7 called it the city of Encino. So many people already think Encino is its own city. Maybe it's time to do that. I know this is a long-term political game, but I think part of LA's problem is it's too big and too corrupt. And honestly, if you live in the San Fernando Valley, you give a lot of money in taxes and don't see nearly anything for it, as the resident of Encino can attest to. So I think so many different neighborhoods. I think the Palisades, once you rebuild, divest from the city of Los Angeles, become your own city. The cities that are not Los Angeles, outside of a few exceptions, Santa Monica, do a lot better than the rest of the city of LA when it comes to places in LA County. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. I'm really worried about this one. Keep it clean, Dale. Dale in Long Beach. Dale, hello.
Okay, I'm easy to pivot, Randy. Okay, I would love to see Rick Caruso run, but I honestly don't think he could win. Arnold Schwarzenegger was a non-politician, but he came in on a recall with 4 million votes. That's not going to happen ever again. And far as Steve Hilton goes, he would need all the Republican vote. He would need half of the independent vote, and he would need some Democrats to come over before he could ever be the next governor. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't think I see that happening. Even though Steve Hilton, if you talk to him, he's a very common sense guy. Just the branding around that he used to be on Fox News is going to turn off a lot of Democrat voters, whether that's warranted or not. And the name ID, the amount of money you have to raise to get that name ID out there, that is real tough. Because if you just go by the voter registration, and let's say he gets 100% of the Republican vote, 50% of the independent vote, that's still not enough.
And there's a couple of other people in the Republican race, so that's a good chance that he's not going to get all that.
Well, that's correct. I mean, our system is a top 2 system, which we've instituted for a while now. It's ridiculous. So in June, everyone's going to run. And the top 2 vote getters could both be Democrats, which we have seen many, many, many times. Now, the strategy in the last Senate race was the top Democrat will spend a whole bunch of money elevating the top Republican so they can be in the top 2, and then it's an easy knockout. That's what we saw happen in the last Senate race with Adam Schiff. Will that happen again? I don't know. But, if I'm looking at someone that's a centrist candidate that could appeal to both sides, I think Rick Caruso could be that guy if he decides to run. And I just think he has a better shot at governor than mayor. I think the city of Los Angeles, we're done. We're toast. I want to move out.
If I was going to Vegas right now, if I was betting, I would bet my money on Xavier Baccaria as the next governor.
Well, make sure you don't put too much money on that bet, Dale.
And the lieutenant governor should be looking to get 1%. The sheriff should be looking to get 3%. All right, Randy, take it easy. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks so much for the call, Dale. Appreciate it. Dale showed so much restraint because his original comment was going to be something about Katie Porter that we probably would have had to dump.
Please.
800-222-KABC is the phone number. Let's go to Michael at Encino. Michael, hello.
Hello. I was really surprised that you are talking about the same idea that I had. I wrote an email to Rick Caruso, and I said, please, LA is a lost cause, and you can save it by taking Sherman Oaks and Encino, make it into one city. Better yet, you can add Tarzana and Studio City and call it the Hill City. And it would have a lot of money, and also a lot of people would vote for probably Republican or conservative candidates. This is one suggestion. I also suggested to him Palisades and Brentwood is a natural city. You combine those two, they would be rival, Beverly Hills. I wrote him all that, but he didn't answer me. And I was disappointed with Rick when he changed to Democrat. I mean, he shouldn't have done that. He should run as an independent, like you say, for the governor of California. He will have a chance. But this democratic machine, they will never let him get elected. So I'm 100% with you. He should run for the government office, but he should become just independent first.
I think that's the way to go. That's how Nathan Hochman won the district attorney's race. He ran as an independent. I think that cuts a little clear, and the Democrats are never going to buy that Rick Caruso is a Democrat to begin with. So it's no point in even putting that out there. I think that's really common sense. Michael, I think you and I start this grassroots movement right now. Encino needs to become its own city.
Yeah, I'm willing to put money, get some people to start the petition to put it on the ballot. We're all going to vote for it. But what do you think of a hill cities and make all the 4 cities, Studio City and Encino and Sherman Oaks and Tarzana as one city? I
love it.
And then Pacific Palisades and Brentwood is also a natural. So I'm willing to put money. You have my number. If you start a committee or something, I will contribute. But the Rick Caruso should. Last time we had a chance at the governorship, but when you have all of a sudden Larry Elder or somebody come in and split the vote. That's the problem with the partisan politics. That's why if you're independent, at least you may be immune to that. But otherwise, people brand you as Democrat or Republican, and then somebody jumps in, some opportunist like Larry Elder, and ruin the whole thing. Anyway, thank you.
I agree, my friend. I'm late for a break, but thank you so much for the call. We'll revisit this topic soon. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Monica writes in at randykabc@gmail.com. Christmas and Hanukkah came early. That's her thought on Kamala not running. More of your calls up next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Hey, look at this. 790 KABC welcomes Elden Ring Symphonic Adventure, featuring music from the multi-award-winning video game at the Dolby Theater on October 11th. Tickets on sale Friday at Ticketmaster.com. But right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-795-2222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Needle Concerts. Good luck dialing. Let's go to Joe in Fullerton. Joe, hello.
Thank you. Yes, I believe what maybe call is because you said something about Encino being its own city or whatever. I believe California should be its own state. I think the state.
Well, it is its own state.
Period. Huh?
Well, California is its own state. Do you mean its own country?
Yes, or whatever, because it's been mentioned that every state should take care of themselves. And you know what? I hear a lot of people bashing California. A lot of people have made money here on equity, on their jobs, and then they move out of the state and they bash California. I love California.
Well, that happens all the time. Let me tell you one problem with the idea of California becoming its own country, Joe. Thanks so much for the call. It's that California doesn't have an army, and we would get invaded immediately. Thank you all so much. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC.